Regulating your responsible. So, Harold, you there? Yeah, we need a scribe. Thank you. Okay. Because that's basically you. What? Well, they can relax on. That one's probably the one.
All right, so issue 470 does get settings reflect? What does get settings reflect? Is it setting with an actual value of the actual value of the device?
Yeah, so discuss this.
Okay. Basically, yeah, it's a settings arbitration API, and that will be all for the same tab. To arbitrate most of the setting be between multiple measurement API. Actual frame rates from the camera. That seems to take, it says to check which constraints are currently in effect. The application that suggests that to really deterministic target values. However, there are cases where line measure values deviate from their target settings, like one example from PAM constraint. So a camera motor that pans from 30 degrees to 60 degrees. you might go from having exact constraints of 30, you always apply constraints to 60. When the problem is resolved with 60, there's a question of the promise waits for the motor to move. That's one question. If it does that, there's still a question of what should the settings return for the promise as resolved. There will be cases where the return will violate either the old constraint or the new constraint. It tries to it's time for this motor to move. Would it return? Will there be periods where it returns 40? Volume versus volume setting aspect. Settings were to return live values in the spec text whole. Does that mean browser actually actual values? There's also no browser as I know of. Over constraints or light situation.
So I always imagine this working. You have to be very design. There are two very different things. There's the target value you're trying to pan to, and the current location. Argue about whether frame rate has two things or not. I think it's so clear. There's two different things, and it needs to be clearly defined to be which one of those two it is. And in fact, probably it needs to be one of those, the target one, and it may need a current heading, camera heading, and it may need
right.
Yeah, right.
Well, but if there are two, then arguably only one of them is dictated property.
Right. So this is not a new question. We have discussed this question in general before. The reason it's called setting. Now you could say it should be called target, but there's a reason it's called setting and not value. And we actually did discuss that. It's essentially what set to, not what it's doing on the switch. I think the camera case, we're okay on what it means now. And it's in my mind, it's always been that through all the conversations that we've had. Now, it is interesting when you get to the other case of frame rate. Value, current value. I think you've described the downside, right, which is where to describe certain things that people. And that's a similar reason why things like get parameters, right?
Right. And then, but I think back correctly if I'm wrong, does actually talk about frame rate. I remember discussing frame rate where the actual frame rate which both browser implements, and I reason because I don't think anyone would appreciate that.
There may be a precision that applies to anything. I mean, the camera setting is supposed to be there. You know, maybe the camera is on. You know, that doesn't mean that the camera is not at the position that it is. Where the frame rate can actually fluctuate from value. like your target, you still have a specific target that the browser's trying to.
I mean, I think it's fine if browsers throw an error if you try and set a minimum rate of support. That's fine. Okay, but we're doing a computer vision algorithm in a car that's a safety critical algorithm that needs 30 frames per second. So that's how it was designed, and suddenly it gets 25 frames per second. It's not okay. You need to be able to get an error from it. It's not, and we need to be very careful to think about. Constraints are very rare things. Most applications should never set constraints of any type whatsoever. It's one of our points. It's like no one should ever use any of these. The browser will figure out something reasonable for you. But in the case where you do need to do it, you either need to know that the constraint does what it's supposed to do, or the browser doesn't support this.
Here's the problem, though. I think let's see this. Where we're talking about using exact.
Perfectly happy to remove exact. I've never liked exact. I think it's a really bad idea for all the reasons you just mentioned.
Logically, it's a combination of.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No one's. Your examples prove exactly the point that people do not think about it as a logical combination of impacts. So, if you want to go down that argument, I agree with you, but I think that the conclusion is remove exact, which is not something I can live with exact.
Well, the way downscaling debates have gone, we might be able to move.
Okay, now, the other thing is about camera rates. People keep saying camera rates fluctuate even on the small variables. No, they don't actually fluctuate outside 100 parts per million. Yes, the browser may get the frames at different rates, but the cameras, yes, they shift rates based on things. These images at same crystal control accuracy because of the clock performance. They're very accurate. How long the jitter that arrives to the browser is somewhat different. So it's really quite stable.
Well, you found on Mac at least setting frame rate that we weren't setting. Rate. And now for other remotes that you don't mandate them spec the browser should follow the remote. So that cannot be the only limitation.
Sure, I'm not targeting the camera even has control.
My argument for a specific case like this, it might be better to actually measure the rate in JavaScript because what we're offering is a very specific policy of a certain point. We'll rank the fact without firing the bank. And I don't know how we ended up with that, but it seems like it. Controllers that measure it themselves, and then they can decide.
I think there's any way to do that. We can't know whether a frame was. We can't know if a frame happened, but that frame got delayed. Our problem is I don't know what timestamp we think we're going to read by the time.
Okay, but so for MotorPan, it sounds like we're saying that setting the target value. Target setting?
We have three things. We have constraints, values, and I think talking about the frame rates is constraints. Setting on further, you're going to see the error that's outside of that, and that's very different than the setting. They call me read.
Well, the capabilities give you the range of what constraints apply.
Does that number not
And
the
when you
value is six.
We're explosive snaps is how it's generally explosive.
there, but what's available, you can attach the element, and then wrong, but so far, we're leaning toward that these are target settings, then when on that. And they're also calling life experience and life experience.
Following call to
I think the browser. Well, in that case, I think we fire engine. Although, not sure if how it would probably break a lot of.
No, we're going into another.
All right, I'm good. We're all good.
Almost all.
Start from the video.
Yeah.
Does the value of a value API exceed the cost of it? Like, if you cross the threshold,
I'm not even breaking that.
the whole thing with constraints is that you shouldn't care about the value and talking to.
So, issue 466, question about whether a setting belongs to the source, or, section. So yeah, the GitHub issue had a long discussion that all this is something, but, Joe and I were discussing this in the same page on the corporation. Practically support more than one setting currently in the culture. Requested practice for them off. I'd like to see it handle that awkward. So that means setting should return what's relevant. Okay, should I'm hearing. Can you hear me now? All right. I'll keep talking then, and then. Okay. Get setting should return what's relevant for consumer. Relevant for consumer. This means that tracks from the same source may return different values. That's good. Tracks are a useful abstraction for browsers as well. That has access between different requests with different tabs. more to the source settings. Their examination would be a protein security issue. Or across origins this way. So the suggestion from the social language if needed to attract.
Yes, I think settings belong to a source, to a track is the right model of settings.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for this one. I have reviewed this many times, and there's something about it that bothers me that I have not been able to come up with precisely what it is.
What bothers you is, I agree that they belong to the track. But unfortunately, the tracks, sometimes multiple tracks some browsers may want to coordinate what's happening in multiple tracks. What they choose is trying to configure the settings of it. I suspect that thing applies. So I was going to say, like, yeah, I agree with everything you just said there, but like, we're going to need to read the actual text that you post on the size quite carefully because that's a different thing. Like,
Yes, that's correct. That's probably it. It comes down to exactly how you're going to do it, not that the notion.
audience, I think, a great example of this. All the examples you use because you have high bit rate input and you can do whatever you need to reach individual tracks. Sure, you can't go above the original thing, but some other things like video where you're talking about pan of a camera. Obviously, if two tracks want different pans on the same camera, well, it depends. Right?
It sort of feels to me like, and I'm going to argue with you, but in the case where you're talking about audio, you can actually have different settings of that. Or with certain video cases, if you're doing software processing on it, then it's not really the same source. Okay, you've modified it. You've made it into whatever you want it to be. So then, of course, you can do whatever you want. You have two different sources, and they're effectively independent.
We got into trouble a lot, years ago when we discussed all this. Generally, two different tracks are both using the same video camera. They're trying to use the issues on the same camera. Suddenly at this point, you might want. I agree with your thing that settings belong to tracks. I'm on board with that. But suddenly, in deciding how to manage that device, you might want to look at the settings that were happening on all the different tracks using it.
I share your concern a little bit, and a track now is an object that sits between. It sounds like the way it was designed is that a track is an API of the source, like it's your way to access the source. But we can explicitly say in the spec exactly these are properties of the source. This is the way to get access to it. Now, the track sits between source and sync, or multiple syncs. And I think we're going to talk about, there's a lot of there are different ways to look at a track, and there's also ways to think of a track as a restate or copy, which look at things, which comes to what kind of properties do we overload on track API with? Is it only reflect things source, or does it reflect things like rescaling, which some argue belong to
Yeah, when we talked about this originally, we actually had a long conversation about precisely that, and decided that it is the distinct book that are responsible for this modification. So I think what's happened is that initially track was this, was a handle to whatever the browser wanted to do internally. Okay? And I think what's happened is that now the spec is adjusting to trying to give specific wording about what the browser is allowed to call a track or say it's doing a track. And logically, it's just this thing that's between a source and a sink or multiple sinks. And so, whatever modification happens at the end in the sink, it doesn't really matter whether you actually did that on the track internally or not, because as far as the developer is concerned, it happened at the end. They only see it in the sink.
And another way this manifests is when we talk about constraints, we should specifically think of a microphone, camera, but you know of the producers of tracks. And we have already defined which ones of these were constraints. So like echo cancellation is usually what does that mean outside of the microphone? So it's not really clear whether we call it video and audio, we don't call it microphone. I think if we word this so that it did belong to sources, but that tracks.
Right now, approximately all different types. I'm not getting, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but I'm not getting how that's different than what people said so far. I don't see how it's different than what the spec says, so that's why I'm confused.
The spec actually says if you have two tracks from the same source, they'll get the same information.
I see you're saying that's not true.
With the idea of the actual configuration.
Test cases.
So, issue 441 is about interrupt or muted track enabled ball tracks. And this is, I think, I'm not sure this belongs in media capture because it only comes up in WebRTC, but it has to do with when you use the track enabled calls, there are some interrupt concerns if you're sending this over connection. For a while for years ago in Firefox, we would just stop the frame and then no more frames. Upgraded to another version a year ago, and then we noticed we started sending 1 frame per second. And so there's some concern. Maybe we should specify this so that browsers offer the same.
I believe it is back to the ITF draftsman say that when you set that block, you stop sending stuff.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I agree it should be specified. I hope it is.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
After the TPAC meeting last year, we came to the conclusion that there were two ways to stop transmission of on a RTP sender. One of them resulted in leaving the picture up, and the other one resulted in leaving the picture black. So I think the one that left the picture black was enable equals false.
Okay, but I think a separate question is, if you were to send this over peer connection and you just tapped on it, what kind of preparation would you see?
And the TPAC discussion in Lisbon was specifically about sending it over peer connection.
welcome to, welcome.
So, if you do a baseline test, it's exactly, which is after it doesn't get any video traffic for a little bit of time, but if it freezes the last frame that was there.
Specify that?
Yeah, I do this, it's somewhat out, the same thing. When you lose 10% of a frame, it's a much more interesting question. What do? You try to display some of the frame, update some stuff. It seems like it's very difficult to totally.
It says that for muting, I don't think it actually says anything about that. Instead of like this. It's very, the mics are fairly highly directional.
The consumer point of view, it doesn't really matter if it's enabled somewhere upstream. Still exposed. If it's at the total level or if it's at the threat level, it looks the same. Over time. So I don't think there should be a difference. Action on this?
There's two different settings. One is muted. There's two different settings, which I always forget the names of because we always use assistant. Two different settings. One causes effectively silence to be sent. If you want to think about that. And it's not one frame block, it's continuous stream from now until ever. Or silence or whatever it is. The other one is stop sending packets on this RTP flow. It stops RTP packets go. Okay. Yeah.
No, I think what you're
No.
Yeah. No. We say, we send, the sender track is null, we say no.
Yeah, right. So three things we were talking about. There's track muted, there's track enabled, and track equals none.
The message
only.
I apologize, I'm confused. I'm confused every time we discuss this.
The only thing we're not talking about is, track equals null.
What's that? The spec that's everywhere that's black string. Black, forward, and it could be only one. Or some places it actually says 8 black frames. I'm sure there's a lot of places with black frames. Yeah, in other places it says black frames, in one place it says black frames.
That's the silence. I think room. Separately.
About what you mentioned,
So I think member could mean.
Now I can see Jan-Evar's lips moving, but there's no sound coming in at all, except for the talking from the next room. This is strange.
I think we're in the wrong room, that's the problem.
so you can't hear us, Harold?
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Keep on doing that, whatever you're doing.
Okay, I have to, yell a little bit.
It's positioned perfectly.
All right. Do you have any, motion toward consensus on this?
You stop doing it again.
I'm not talking about.
There seems to be some kind of gating function which only turns on the mic if you talk extra loud, and if you start letting your voice drop, it will stop. It's irritating.
Then, is that okay? I'll do it.
Keep talking loudly all the time.
I think that's something to say. So you could say that it was frames or black frames or one black frame. Because like implementers should make then because
So it's like one frame per second seems to be.
When we specified it for media capture, we just said black and decided that that what was used internally for representing black was an internal matter. When you come to WebRTC PC, 1 frame per second might be a good advice.
Or
not actually pausing the screen, you're just continuing to send black, and you move it to 1 frame per second. That stuff, but lots of legacy stuff on the side that the quality of the call has dropped so disastrously that it's been disconnected. Disconnected all the time now too, so I mean, they usually say crash, but I don't know. I'm not saying this. Like,
Well,
maybe you'll just see that the apps will never do that, but they'll always do the thing that causes it to stop sending packets.
They don't though, because if I'm going to call the call, I hit face mute, that is tracking the call.
Okay, I don't think you should move 1 frame per second in that thing, unless you do. I think you should. If you're in the STP, you negotiate 1 frame per second is fine. That's fine. STP negotiated, that's not fine. I don't think you should do that. You save almost no bandwidth because black frames compress to pretty much. But I don't think you should go outside the frame rate that you negotiated in STP. I think that's perfectly allowed 1 frame per second.
Yes, unless it's disallowed negotiation up to implementation.
Design of massive congestion. This doesn't work.
It doesn't seem like one, and if anyone. You do something told us it's involved by our. leave it. We have to go back. Yeah.
All right, here's the fun one. So the original scenario have different artifacts. What you want to have rendered on the side. Site constraint.
Example.
But the other, the real problem here is with the act for adding pixels.
Sorry, you disappeared again.
Carl, can you hear?
And now you're low.
Harold, can you? All right, I will speak louder. Is that louder?
This is much better.
Okay. All right. So the problem is the application. The browser doesn't know if the application wants to add pixels, bookmarks, or remove pixels. Problem. Don't know if scaling is allowed. So next slide. Here is the thing that I came up with. I call it resize mode. Resize mode, you can specify options could be where you example.
Sorry, you're gone again.
Change it to a 1:1 aspect ratio and at the same time have the resize mode be.
This looks great with one exception. I don't understand the nut. Example.
So that would mean you're not allowed to do a resize.
So if it said an aspect ratio of exactly 1.0,
If it's not one already, you get
it is. Correct. Okay. Love it.
or no frame. I'm not sure actually, right? That's one of and there's also the question of what the default is. We could come up with other things, maybe stretch, but not the other one. Or an auto loop, or is it?
So I think my first concern here would be that we talked about earlier, constraint is an API to get access to the source, to the page. And
This is changing computation.
Peter, I think you should throw your mic into the dustbin. It's totally cutting you out.
I'll try to be loud.
I was just going to say, make that point that so
The mic that brings Cullen's voice to the table, whatever that is sounding much better.
The one that Peter was using, sorry.
That's not it.
All right.
There's no
Just
clear
color
pattern
voice
yet.
is better, that's what.
So,
I yelled.
so my one concern. My one concern is that we're not moving to Rescaler API, which is settings that historically some have argued should be on the fix. If we're talking about source, access to the source, the way I tend to think of it is that, you know, you have the physical mode of the camera, and then a browser can sort of make virtual versions of it. And I can think of good examples like 640/480 cropping down to 640/360. One by one, I've never seen a one by one camera before, but I've definitely never seen a letterbox camera before. So I sort of like crop and scale, and I sort of like none. I don't like box and scale.
So Justin really, I originally thought we could get away with just crop and scale, it would be fine. And Justin really convinced me that box and scale was also required, particularly for the case of screen recordings. He's like, there's no condition on which taking part of the screen capture and throwing it away is okay, and that means we need to add pixels to make the aspect ratio.
Screen recording is not affected by this.
Really? It's an extension to this spec that captures it.
That's true.
And it will use whatever we define here, I think.
But if you put it on
Right. Okay. But so far, there's no language in the spec about screen capture. So you could add extension things to the screen capture spec for specific cases. Feeling. Right. It gets down to what are constraints. Are they access mechanisms to cameras, virtual cameras, or are they a rescaling API? Because as you see in the next slide, Stefan added questions like, well, if we, at first I thought we said that we were supposed to emit pixels. So if we have, this is an extreme example of where you get, like, would it center? Where would it be positioned?
Well, actually, this is Stefan's slide, but I added a line there, which is, he was basically saying what happens if the resize mode is not, resize mode is none, and but it's over.
Yeah. So,
Well, to your point of, this is becoming a size and rescale, guy, yes. That's what we want. We need a size and rescale API.
Our only one.
wait.
So that's what I'm proposing here.
All right. Well,
I don't think it conflicts with anything else.
well, one thing I want to point out,
It's a high bar.
one thing that you should
Chrome will rescale to anything you want. An interesting thing is that it's actually hard to get to observe the rescaled version. But that is either a bug or a feature. I'm not sure which.
Well, actually, I think I talked to Martin about the screen capture spec, and I think we can reintroduce constraints there in the display media function. At the same time, disallow it to be used as to still have it be a traditional rescaler. One note on resize code is a constrainable property. That means we have to figure out what it would return in guest setting. And it kind of is similar actually to Guido and I were discussing an issue, we have to call it native colon tree. You know, the non-value. I guess it could work. I still don't. I think Fox and scale is still awesome.
And one more thing I will repeat from the interim. The CSS spec has these names defined. We should reuse the names.
Yeah, that's what my point is. So even they are all for the same.
I agree. When I wrote this slide, I couldn't remember what those were. So if you
Yeah.
contain. Sure.
I'll dig them up.
There's still containing cover. I seem to recall, I was totally on board with this, and then as we started reading the definitions, each one of them, I realized they were totally wrong for what we wanted. But I'm totally, as long as the definitions are the same, not different, I'm totally agreeing.
By the way,
I realize implementation concern is not the highest of our priorities, but we will have to deal with. We also have scale resolution downtime in the center that we use on all kinds of cases. So if an implementation is not careful, they'll end up rescaling twice.
so I want to be clear that this is only for changing the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio doesn't change.
It's a prop and scale.
Yes.
Turn on.
So that's so you don't end up in a situation where you there's the middle.
So is side load only a modifier of aspect ratio?
No, but I don't think we need it.
I thought this was how you're going to resolve
Unless
rescaling versus.
so I was just trying to tackle the aspect ratio change. I think that this would be valuable for aspect ratio is the same. Also, we want to allow the application to use it without scaling.
That's where I thought you were going.
That's fine too. Like if the application tells you to scale twice.
Well, it's definitely interesting because 472 has been about discussing how we can get more on the same page, at least between probably scale to everything. That's exactly what we asked for. Firefox and Edge, I believe, has more of a discovery API that treats the ideal with gravity as a tool of discovery. Is min by name max 1280, but then ideal 1280 to force gravity, meaning that's a little bit of a common implementation. Ideal to that one. That's higher than the depth scale. So I think that is your last question was the default. Bear in mind that constraints normally don't have default.
What happens when it's left off?
Right, so, okay, so maybe that's a separate issue.
If that's the pattern that we have,
That's definitely the pattern. Because
the important thing to me is just that we have a way of application that is.
model constraints is that each app says upfront what the constraints are, so that the browser is free. Willy-nilly, resize mode would apply to aspect ratio with,
But I guess you were making the case that it should. You indicate that you're willing to scale, and if you say none.
right? So if I understand your example here just uses aspect ratio, but let's say I specify the apply constraint, width 320, height, 240, aspect ratio 443, and resize mode crop scale. I guess from already downscaled, so the Firefox will also downscale in that case. If the resize mode was none, what would you expect Chrome to do? I used if I use min and max, yeah, it's just how some businesses. So that was my.
So in the case where, let's say the aspect ratio is exactly right, but we need to scale it down by a factor of 2. Does none mean you can't do that? Like, I sort of feel like they should be constrained to just focus on the aspect ratio changes, not the scale changes. One of the things is that way down deep in the video codec through congestion control, somebody may decide to scale down the whole image in half the stage. I don't really care. I mean, if Justin was here, I'd argue against it.
I think that's completely separate. Whether the peer connection can change in order to get it across the wire, it's a completely separate question of what comes out of the connection.
For sure. So I don't think we should say none means you can't ever rescale the image or anything. Right.
But it does complicate implementation, right? Because implementation would either rescale twice, or it would know to have to combine these two inputs into a single, under the.
In order to meet the constraint, you might go down, but then go to the extended requirement.
Right. Okay. So, to explain about aspect ratio, do we want a force value that's at preserve aspect? Or that doesn't work?
That would be, you can't add or remove what you can't do. I just put these three, those are the three that I've no I've seen people.
Unless someone has more to say on this slide, call for consensus. I kind of wanted to visit on the slide about default behavior, but
Maybe this one minus a default.
yeah, a constraint. That's for it happens at the track level and source the tracks. Having the same source. I mean, 4 different. Like it's not a constraint. That's an API on video. Well, yeah, we should be careful not to read too much into an example. I'm not sure if, yeah, this could be a modifier. It could be apply constraint with rescale. It could be apply constraint. That should be on the track. This is regular track dot. I suppose for it to be constrainable property, I thought you meant when you applied constraints, even if I didn't specify when I do get settings, I might learn, for instance, whether this is a downscale mode or not. What is the setting that's been chosen by the browser as a result of all this?
Well, I suppose that would make sense if, like, at the list, profit scale or on. But I don't know if we want to go down that route. Can all the other wrong, and you can still do whatever you want with these. Let's leave with any other constraint.
Let's just go back to Dan's example earlier. If you have an audio microphone, and one thing says, I want 44.1 kilohertz, and another thing says, I want 0.2 kilohertz. Get that, no problem. That's the same thing. One track can say, hey, I want a one by one aspect ratio thumbnail, because I'm going to display the thumbnail on the far side, and I want that cropped. Versus probably in the middle, it's just a thumbnail anyway. But for my main video, I'm going to choose box and scale. I like black bars on the side.
Could there be a microphone that could really satisfy, I mean, what is your sample? There's some value that you can't really resample from. I mean, this feels like API where you modify the.
So are you saying you would prefer, say, track.set?
A video track, I would.
Well, one way it could be a constraint. Well, the litmus test for me would be a constraint. Look at settings dictionary, because that constraint is really a sorting filter function on all possible settings dictionary. So you could have a settings dictionary that had a width 320, height 240, and if you say resize mode none, which means that you actually got a mode that the camera device is offering natively. Or if you say resize mode crop and scale, which means that what you're seeing now was actually cropped and scaled for you, and actually comes from a higher resolution hardware camera. It's a descriptive property of that settings dictionary, just like aspect ratio is. Like it's true that this mode, the settings dictionary of 320 already has an aspect ratio of 4:3. It's also true that it was downscaled to meet your needs.
Aspect ratio could be a strength that you select the camera and have.
That's remote constraint.
This one, not this one.
Well, it is.
I want a camera that can crop and scale. Every
Yeah.
camera can crop and scale. I
No.
want a camera.
So, but if you specify none, that's not true. So you can actually, if you have two cameras, and one of them supports 320 natively, the one doesn't, specifying 320 40 resize mode none would actually give you, actually pick the camera for you that has the native mode.
Yeah, but I could, an API that did that on the other camera. I mean, that's one pointing in the direction that I want. I don't have any option. But that is like this.
You just explained why, like in camera based stuff, it's very good. And that's true.
It's always what direction I have a camera that.
Right. I don't think the shaking is part of
Well,
the you can shoot.
As far as being able to read out what the browser is currently doing, I think that could be useful, I suppose, that get an aspect ratio and automatically fix something.
So, I don't understand box and scale. So, box and scale would preserve the aspect ratio of the camera surface within a rectangle that is a different.
It has black pixels on the side. But if you gave it a specific height width, that's a huge.
This is a selection API for.
The primary use for this is not a selection. The primary use for this is, I already have a track, and I tell it what to do for trackers. Once you decide what to do, this should only affect the one track.
I'm sort of along on the illusion that my camera might support 1-on-1 camera output. It's a bit of a stretch. It seems like also from a definition point of we shouldn't be sending
App chooses the box and scale.
APIs of
Look, we can go back to why we got ourselves in the need for this in the first place. We're really down to, we want to say supply constraints, or other options.
I like it if we generalize this to say that this is how we resolve the different browsers. Right now, actually, it's a huge gap between what web developers get if you browse the support downscaling or not. Okay, totally different things. And if we had a mechanism like this, I think it could be more specific about what they want and get the same results on different browsers. I think.
You're saying is this solves two problems, aspect ratio and width.
Yes. And well, if I understand correctly, so and my check there is, I would expect crop and rescale in Firefox to downscale today. I would expect none to downscale. Still not. Is there an option for just having conference scale and none? Right place there.
Which, by the way, I argued that for a while, and I eventually decided I was wrong.
All right.
If we ship it and no one ever uses it,
That's what use counters are for.
Well, my one concern is that we pivoted from AdStream to AdTrack. Many reasons, but one of them was that by opening the API around the bits that are actually being sent, it helps people avoid accidentally, like if they had two streams that share a track, they would, in the old API, they would accidentally send a common track twice. But to focus around the data we're sending, we avoided sending bits twice. So I'm worried that we're creating a surface, API surface that people send way more data that needs to go over the wire.
that's only if you ask for it.
Okay, so talk about what the default should be in there.
It's fun, why not?
So
Who's going to make
Crop and scale as default.
need a test because it's right?
So far, so good.
right.
Spins to get in out of the yard.
So this is so quiet around the room, though. Do we have consensus?
I think it should be cross and scale, that's what the draft has said for a long time.
So I meant about having this in person. Thumbs up. I see some thumbs up, so it sounds like there's consensus in the room. Dan, do you have an opinion?
No, actually, the conversation was going fine, so I was just sort of listening while I downloaded the instruction manual for the transmitter for the microphone, so. And I just had a chance to look at it, and it looks like they didn't set the game. How long it's been. That is something.
Okay,
So this is fine.
so from, the PI?
No, not yet.
Or did anybody volunteer?
Right.
Okay. Are you sure you want me to do it? Double check. No, you are ready, okay. Okay. And so, more on the same about, constraints don't really implement it. So, yeah, so that's the next slide. When do we downscale, basically? So the constraint API leads us to the browser to be the final arbiter of what could be. Excuse me, specifying no constraints, the browser is totally free to pick whatever it wants. And that's it. That means there really aren't any defaults you can rely on. So basically, if you care about something, if you care about a value constraint, it's just so far. That's not very good for web compact, because web developers usually are happy when the same developer produces the same result in different browsers. So we have a situation where, and this comes right from the spec text. The spec has been avoiding this for years. There's a should in there. There's no normative must in what we should pick. The fitness distance algorithm has this last statement that we should pick a settings dictionary that minimizes fitness distance. And it also has a large note that says that the user can use any information available to it to pick the actual settings dictionary based on battery life and processing. But it doesn't say which one we should use. So as a result, we have in Chrome, you can say apply constraint or get intermediate width for 360. I think Chrome will crop 640, 480 down to. Doesn't have that mode. It would down to 480 in larger camera down to that resolution. And Firefox, you would not. You would only get that mode if the camera supports, if the driver has 640, 360 on its listed mode. Otherwise, you would get the nearest one according to the business. This is algorithm. I think Edge does the same. Right now, we are Mozilla. We're working on some downscaling in Firefox. Mostly started in a different area, which was about concurrent use in multiple tabs. We were concerned about the privacy issues of that you could, in our currently today, if you try to apply constraints in one tab, you can actually see it in all the tabs. That's not great for privacy. So we're now adding downscaling so that if one tab opens or another one's open, when the second one opens, we camera in the highest resolution is downscaled. But we were also at the same time concerned that if you always, the way the spec works this is that if a fitness distance algorithm that's applied on a UA specific pool of available settings dictionaries, Firefox and Edge implement a pool of discrete settings dictionaries from a pool of continuous space, basically. But in a continuous space, there's very little discovery of the input. So we're thinking that we would only downscale if we were forced to, meaning using constraint where we would otherwise go over constraint error. these downscale as a last resort. Those are not compatible. So hopefully now we have a new constraint that can help us sort that out. But it doesn't address default. So I guess we're asking for how would they like it to work by default.
I don't think this constraint changes anything. Let's just say that the requested aspect ratio is the same as the aspect ratio we have, right? Then you still have all these problems. But it seems like the should minimize fitness distance was what we decided before on how to solve this problem. I'm not saying that I was never really completely thrilled with that being the answer, but it seems like a workable answer that would cause all the browsers to do the same thing. Like, what's lacking from that?
I guess, given that to everyone, given what they've heard today, is the working group still standing by that browsers should minimize fitness distance over, say, minimum processing?
I think on the side we are not supporting any on everything and like great resolutions. So we would probably prefer to go to minimize processing.
That's something they're supposed to analyze.
I mean, as a user of these APIs, I would like you to consistently deliver the largest video you can given all of the constraints at hand. I mean, and I don't mean, sorry, constraints probably is, I mean, like, I plug a 4K camera into my browser, you probably can't encode. Or I plug an 8K camera into my browser, right? You're very unlikely to be able to encode 8K video on the CPU with DP. So you're probably going to have to do something right there to even be able to meet that. Never mind any of these types of concerns. We're just talking about bandwidth and everything else. You know, generally, I want the best thing I can, given the limitations of whatever device I'm using. I don't want to have to program to the limitations of the device myself.
Correct, but that's in the case where you don't.
Sure.
So if you were to, but the way, I'm asking about the way you express your constraints, because we have a constraints language now of which full power we're no longer using. So we have a lot of expressibility here. Like if I show right here, you can say, I guess you can say minimum. Minimum, I don't want to go below. I want an error, or I want an ideal value. We don't really need max anymore because we're.
No, there's still a max. The constraint is what's coming out of this. I mean, if I'm running this into a video recording, I'm taking a security camera and recording it and recording video on a cloud website to record video for a surveillance camera. Okay? I might know that I just can't deal with more video than ever, 360p. So I'm going to put the max at 360p. Meaning, do not ever send me more than 360p. Still need a max. Doesn't mean you have to use a camera that's less than 360p natively. It just means the downscale video has to be less than 360p.
But if we use the top line here, where plain bare values downscale, then you would never, if you specify whatever numbers you specify, as long as you don't go over the max, you will get those numbers.
So if the ideal was 640 by 360, if you had an HD camera and no way to, and the aspect changing was set to none, then yes, if you can scale and the aspect ratio is right, I get your point. You will never go above the ideal, right?
I guess once you start expressing complicated constraints, I guess I don't care that much if the browsers produce exactly the same. But I'm trying to get to what most people put in. Put in true, but the second category is so just simple things like with 640 height 368, we expect to get exactly those dimensions. We expect the browser to find the closest
I would expect on any browser that didn't have some bizarre constraint why I couldn't do that to deliver me exactly those. And on any browser running on a desktop, certainly I'd expect that. On a mobile phone, I'd expect at least, as long as it had a camera that large and CPU.
So, follow-up question then, the spec currently allows implementations to not downscale at all. Is that acceptable? What's the effect on those browsers? How do you plan to handle that difference?
So when you say allows, you mean violates a should when it doesn't implement that, or? I think shoulds are things that the specs need to do. It's not a should, but I would know we won't, right? It's a should.
The spec does not say you should downscale.
I'm not sure I buy that. I think if the spec says the video should be X. No?
It just specifies the algorithm on it doesn't specify the pool at all of available settings. It says that made downsample in response to, and it says we may pick settings dictionaries on battery life and say it doesn't say you have to offer every conceivable value. Implementation that only implements discrete values, like say from is the valid implementation. And that's where we have that's the only answer that really necessitates which is complicated.
So if the camera driver only reports that it's a 4K camera, it's just a single video. Yeah, I mean, I think it's nuts. Browsers can't produce 365, whatever, right? I mean, so, but I mean, my trace algorithm is that browser that didn't do that in that case.
Yeah. So MIDI capture and streams does say that you should use the one with the settings with the smallest fitness distance.
Yes, it does, but it doesn't say on what pool that applies. It doesn't require that the pool include any specific number of settings dictionaries.
No.
A browser that only implements discrete settings dictionary.
And it's an example algorithm that you need to come up with something sort of equivalent with. So I don't know if that algorithm is bad. Maybe we should change it. Maybe we should have more text here. But I mean, we added the text. Visual settings must contain, logically speaking, all possible values in the algorithm that we originally had, which is what everybody thinks of this be.
The spec to require that.
I'm glad we're at PR.
Require downscaling.
I'm sure we would like that. I don't think that's what we need. We talked about cameras is, cameras have some particular cameras have 5 different resolutions that can provide you. That's what's actually in the settings.
But just to play devil's advocate here, I mean, it's a lot of trust in JavaScript developers. And the API is a very advanced API. You can express a lot of things. A lot of them create errors, and they're signing on to deal with basically all webcams on the planet, and they're really.
They're writing JavaScript to run in any browser. Of course, they're going to meet every webcam on the planet.
Well, I mean, it may be moved, and maybe that market forces will drive both browsers to implement it.
I certainly hope so.
You're going to see some browser snips and then by supplying, sets of constraints to binary subsets will find what will work.
I'm sort of hearing that if you specify width 640, height 360, to those exact dimensions. One person?
On a desktop browser running on a desktop computer.
Okay, what about mobile?
Everything works on
So that's the difference between IDEO and Internet. So, already on it, click that, and process with them down. IDEO, then you have some freedom. You might try it, play it, and you get something. If it's not perfect, then you will, hey, I want exactly that. You will hopefully get it.
Right, and that's what Firefox is thinking of doing. Although it's also an overload of exact. The original idea of exact was that it would, for some reason, that you would get like an error, so you learn something about what the user had. Not saying that was the best API either, and we're going to have better privacy. Yes, so our common saying is always return exact dimension. And you weren't saying maybe no? Oh,
this person will just very good. Desktop, you have what I expect.
okay, so once we mentioned desktop and respect, I guess it's still active. Right.
There's also just let the browser decide.
Right. Sure.
But if you really care, then you will say one with the other. Want it to be exact. If you wanted to downscale, you would say.
So the effect then is that unless people put in width exact 640, height exact 360, only if they do that will it downscale lower than Chrome and Firefox in the future. So, and if they forget to use the exact constraint, it would scale Chrome and not Firefox.
I'm saying if they have wanted to downscale, I would okay with it.
I've already got that. And example specifically requires something.
Right. And then there's no default for resize mode either.
But effectively is the default. Also, it's the browser.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Somebody summarize that. Because I never went out this conversation again.
I'm re-recorded not for you.
We'll get it.
Jeep versus Canon, round 5, on constraint, blah, 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 proposal, and it requires something.
There is no default.
Basically, we
If you don't trust the browser, you step.
Right.
the counter wrong.
Right.
We are
Alright, cool.
20 minutes beyond
So, we do have an hour and a half specified for tomorrow on it. So, not that we're gonna spend another hour and a half on this particular thing, but I think we can. Is there any other event people should be aware of that? There's a developer event, right?
Yes.
People should be aware of. But, other than that, you have a good night off with respect to WebRTC.
I want to see
tomorrow.
tickets by tomorrow 8.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I got two.
Okay, good. Go up and work.
So,
Come back tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow I will merge the PR on where you actually apply a test.
Oh, so Rex, did you hear what he said? a
your
lot
PR
more
thing
and that
before
I have
noon,
time
before
to
the
do
window
that.
shuts.
So Soren, Adam was saying, Peter is going to do the PR, Adam is going to merge it by 12, and you have until the end of the day tomorrow to finish it. That's the spirit.
Okay.